Have you made a lovely lotion, but you'd like it to be a bit thicker, have a bit more body? Well, you have come to the right place. Hey Bees, I'm Marie from Humble Bee and Me, and in this video I'm going to teach you 3 simple strategies for boosting the viscosity of your lotions. You can use these strategies alone or combine them to create exactly the lotion you're dreaming of. This video is part of my ongoing free series all about natural lotion formulation, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss a thing. I've also made a playlist of all of the videos in this series, so I recommend saving it so that you can easily find each new video. I'll be sharing another video with an even more powerful strategy for changing the viscosity and richness of your lotions in the near future, and you won't want to miss it. Before we dive into the strategies and the 3 free formulations I'm going to be sharing today, it is really important to know that no formulation change happens in isolation. You aren't just making your formulation thicker, you're also introducing a new ingredient and altering the balance of your formulation. So there's going to be more changes than just the change to the viscosity. That new ingredient and the new formulation balance could improve slip, it could make it worse, it could change the color of the formulation, it could change the scent of the formulation, it could make soaping worse, it could make soaping better. There could be quite a lot of changes. That's why it's so important to have a variety of different strategies in your formulating toolkit so you can choose exactly what will work for the thing that you are making. And if you're wondering kind of what's going on with my hair situation here, I recently shared a video about it as a Patreon exclusive, and that video also includes an exclusive curl cream formulation. So if you'd like to check that out along with other benefits, like last week we did a live ingredient analysis of the Jones Road Miracle Balm that was really fun. Please consider becoming a $10 a month patron. The link is in the description box below. So the first strategy that you can use to thicken up your lotions is you can swap some or all of the liquid oil in your formulation for a solid fat like shea butter, cocoa butter, cupuatsu butter, maru butter. You know, like if it's a fat and it's solid at room temperature, it's a good candidate. Solid fats aren't very potent thickeners, so you'll typically need quite a lot of them to notice a viscosity boost in the final formulation. As with anything, when you use a lot of it, you're gonna notice it in the final product. For example, if you use a lot of raw cocoa butter in your emulsion, it's going to smell like chocolate. Or if you use combo butter, you'll get both that brown color and that distinctive combo butter scent in your finished formulation. If you watched my video on how to gently scent your natural lotions, this thickening strategy is fairly similar to the hydrosol strategy of scenting your formulations. And if you'd like to learn more about that, please watch that full video. It's linked in the description box below. In the formulation I'm sharing today, I'm going to be using unrefined shea butter, and I'm simply going to swap all of the medium chain triglycerides in the heated oil phase for shea butter. All of the formulations I'm sharing today are based on the simple starter formulation I shared in the video that kicked off this free series. To learn more about that formulation and get full, detailed lotion making instructions, make sure you check out that video and its partner blog post. I'm sticking with a 100 gram or 3.5 ounce batch size for the formulations in this video. Now, because I'm using 15% raw shea butter, this finished lotion will absolutely smell like shea butter. If you don't like the smell of shea butter or you just don't want it to come through in this specific product, you're going to want to use a refined shea butter instead. Do not try to cover up or drown out the scent of shea butter at the end of the formulation. That's not going to work. You're still going to get that scent of shea butter, and then it's just gonna blend with whatever fragrant ingredient that you've also added. So yeah, if you don't want it to smell like shea butter, use refined shea butter. This also goes for cocoa butter and other fragrant butters. Use the refined version if you don't want the smell coming through in your finished product. As you're blending thicker lotions, it's important to stop using your immersion blender while the lotion is still quite fluid and switch to hand stirring. This will help you avoid air bubbles in the finished product. The thicker an emulsion is, the more it's able to suspend bubbles. So if you stop blending it while it's still very thin, it won't be able to support those bubbles and you'll get fewer bubbles. Bubbles, 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 bubbles. The finished shea butter lotion has more body and is a bit thicker than the version made with a liquid oil, but it's definitely not super thick. You can still put it in a pump bottle. Using a harder butter like cocoa butter will make for a thicker lotion, but as I said earlier, butters aren't super potent thickeners, and that's where thickening strategy number 2 comes in. Thickening strategy number 2 utilizes some much more potent viscosity boosting ingredients: Fatty thickeners. Examples of fatty thickeners include cetyl alcohol, cetearyl alcohol, stearic acid, and C10 to 18 triglycerides, also known as butter pearls. Each of these ingredients will thicken your lotions differently. Cetyl alcohol is slippy and expensive. Cetearyl alcohol is creamy and fluffy. Stearic acid is rich and can be stiff if you use enough of it. And butter pearls are buttery and substantial. As little as 1% of any of these thickeners can noticeably change a formulation, but if you want to add significant viscosity, you'll likely need 5% or more. I highly, highly recommend trying all of the fatty thickeners that you can get your hands on so you can understand how they impact your formulations. I've made ingredient deep dives on cetyl alcohol, cetearyl alcohol, and stearic acid, plus a get to know you video for butter pearls, and I highly recommend watching all of them to learn more. In the formulation I'm sharing today, I'll be using cetyl alcohol, simply swapping 3% of the medium chain triglycerides for 3% cetyl alcohol. If you want an even thicker finished product, just use more cetyl alcohol and less liquid oil. Adding fatty thickeners raises the melting point of your heated oil phase, so expect it to melt a bit more slowly and start to solidify faster than a more liquid oil heavy heated oil phase. You'll need to combine your heated phases fairly quickly once you've removed them from the heat so the oil phase doesn't start to solidify, or you can combine the phases while they're still on the heat or in the water bath. Situations like this is where my preference for pouring the water phase into the oil phase rather than the other way around really starts to shine. The water phase won't solidify and clump if it runs over some cold glass on its way out of the beaker, but the oil phase definitely will. And remember, there are also super in-depth free partner blog posts for every video in this series, including this one, so make sure you're reading those to learn as much as possible. They're always linked in the description box below my videos. So if you're wondering, can you thicken a lotion after it's made? That is answered in the partner blog post, which has a fully clickable table of contents to help you easily navigate through it. The finished lotion with cetyl alcohol has a viscosity quite close to the one made with shea butter, but it's only 3% different from the base formulation versus 15%, making fatty thickeners a much better thickening option if you want to keep the oils in your formulation mostly the same. I also find the cetyl alcohol lotion is nicer than the one made with lots of shea. It feels more substantial and cohesive. I do like butters and lotions, but I prefer to use less of them and then round out the oil phase with some liquids and fatty thickeners for more elegant feeling emulsions. And now it's time for thickening strategy number 3, which doesn't use any fatty ingredients. So it's a great option if you want to boost the viscosity of your formulation, but leave your oil phase alone. This final strategy is using gums and other gelling ingredients to thicken up your emulsions. This method thickens lotions in a more sort of jelly, gummy, elasticy kind of way than using butters or fatty thickeners does. As with all the other methods, the ingredients that you use and the amounts of them that you use will impact the feel of your finished formulations. A small amount of gum can add a really nice, slippy, expensive feel to your lotions, while too much can get slimy and sticky. I usually start with 0.5% or less, but what too much is will really depend on the gum and the formulation and also on personal preference. So make sure you research, experiment, and have fun. Options include xanthan gum, and I prefer soft or clear xanthan gum to regular xanthan gum. It's a lot less slimy than regular xanthan gum is. Guar gum, carrageenan, and hydroxyethyl cellulose. You can also use blended gum ingredients like Silagel and Solagum AX. There are also lots of synthetic options, and I do find those are nicer options if you want to substantially thicken an emulsion this way, as they've got nicer skin feel, so you can use more without things getting slimy or sticky. Options include polyacrylate cross-polymer 6, also known as Sepamax Zen, Aristoflex AVC, and heaps of different Carbomer products. In the formulation I'm sharing today, I'm using 0.5% of soft xanthan gum, simply swapping out 0.5% of the distilled water to make room for it. I like to include gums in the heated oil phase of an emulsion as they can't clump in oil. They'll hydrate up nicely when the phases are combined and you get in there with your immersion blender. Remember that a gum won't melt with the emulsifier and the other fatty ingredients in the heated oil phase, so it's just going to remain a solid powder at the bottom of your beaker. If you're noticing that your gum isn't kicking in and activating as quickly as you want it to when you blend the phases together, feel free to move it to the heated water phase for future batches. It's a good idea to thoroughly blend the gum into whatever humectants are in your heated water phase before adding the water to prevent clumping. In this formulation, that would be the sodium lactate. Once you've adjusted your formulation, carry on emulsifying as usual. And those are 3 ways to thicken up your lotions, but what about adding a lovely scent so that your lotion is both creamy and smells amazing? Watch this video to learn how. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you next time.